Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Lover. Sitting directly next to me is none other than the General, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, yo, you know how we get this thing started every week, man. How's this weekend for you this past week?
Brother, now come on. You know, this weekend was fun-filled, very educational, very informational. It tugged at your heartstrings,
Yeah.
but it also increased your intellect. And Greg, I don't know how many notches I want to go, but man, this weekend was incredible. So where do we begin, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, so, you got this thing where you just kind of give people a taste and you don't let them know what you're talking about. So now we got to let people know what you're talking about. So, this past Friday just kind of kicked off, the music festival for the weekend, which is the Heart and Soul Festival, the fourth annual Heart and Soul Festival this past weekend. But on that Friday, no storm could prevent, no hurricane could stop the Black Man documentary, which was actually directed, produced by John Covington, all the way from Muskogee, Michigan, talking about the stories of black men and sharing that with Orange County. And I'm happy to say that.
Well, more than Orange County.
I ain't finished.
Okay.
I'm happy to say that FEC, the Florida Economic Consortium, actually hosted, presented the Black Man documentary in conjunction with a number of organizations.
What if people don't know what FEC, who FEC is?
I literally just said Florida Economic Consortium.
Okay, man. You got me because I'm speeding because it was so great. Man, okay, I take it back because.
Well, listen, but the other part though, the Florida Economic Consortium is a nonprofit organization that helps to bring resources or make communities aware of resources throughout the community, and so FEC was there and allowed the Black Man documentary to be presented here in Orange County at a A1 class venue, which was the Orlando Art Museum, and listen, Brother Love, it was, listen, kudos, hats off to FEC under the direction of my good friend, to my right, Brother Love.
Thank you, sir.
And putting all of that together and allowing the folks to see the Black Man documentary that is being shown across the country.
You're right.
Across the country. I think the next stop they said is LA, right?
You're right. And Greg, what a time that we had. And I mean, I can't let you give me all that without throwing something back at you. But one of the things I'm going to throw at you first is you said you can't tell people all that, man, without telling them what you're talking about. Well, you taught me about developing these cliffhangers to put people on. And now you Hey, brother, but nobody moderates like you, brother.
No, I appreciate that.
I mean, let me lay it out for everybody. There was a great reception. We had Ole's that did the catering services for this.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, because we were working.
Yeah.
I heard the food was great.
It looked good.
But
it smelled good. I don't know how, but I'm sure it tastes good. But
Clover. Now, Greg and I didn't get a chance to eat anything.
Not a morsel.
So I'm wondering,
do
we get a what do they call it?
Something.
A gift tray or something?
A sampler or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
But I heard that the food from Ole's was excellent, and I already know it is good. But then we also had Jared Armstrong, one of the
saxophonist, vocalist. I thought he tap danced for a minute. I thought he was doing everything out there, man.
The brother's bad.
No doubt,
the brother's
man.
bad.
No doubt. But now I will say this, Brother Love. In prepping for the event, everything about the event, I thought it was just going to be black men. Now I was very, maybe pleasantly surprised to see that there were women in attendance, and those women had an opportunity to not only listen to but to also participate in a conversation about black men. Yeah. And so that was, and not just women, but young men. The youth were in attendance, and Brother Love, every time something is done, and in particular, anytime you put something together, you never forget the youth, the young people that have to hear and have to be a part of what's taking place in this community. So,
Greg, it was so moving. But then I also want to let people know that don't let the title fool you when you look at the Black Man documentary to think that it was exclusive to black people. No, it was not. Greg, one of our special guests, who also, unbeknownst to him, received an acknowledgement award, was Representative David Smith. Representative David Smith, who has been a great partner to the Florida Economic Consortium, that has worked diligently, man. When you talk about the things that he's advocated for with development of relationships with law enforcement and local communities that have historically had an issue of trust.
Yeah.
Representative David Smith has been Johnny on the spot
Yeah.
in being an advocate and supporting initiatives such as that. But then also Representative David Smith has been a champion for responsible fatherhood, and that's in Seminole County.
Yeah.
And I mean, this guy is incredible, but Greg, he sat through
The entire thing.
and
Yeah.
the engagement, the discussions that were taking place. So you asked me about how my weekend went. I reverse it back to you, starting on that Friday. Greg, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How did you feel about when the premiere was over, and then you had, as the panelist, because there was some therapy that was needed after the premiere,
Yeah.
some engagement, and you had Commissioner, City of Orlando.
So
Commissioner-
let's do this. Let's do this because I mean,
I'm going
let's
through-
lay it out right, man.
Okay.
I mean, if we're
Okay.
gonna do it, we got to do it right because again, this event was presented by FEC. First class, program, and the panel, as you said, this was touted as a therapeutic panel, and on that panel, Brother Love, and I'm gonna go from John Covington to this end, and I'm going
Okay.
to this end for a reason.
Gotcha,
You'll know about
gotcha,
second.
yeah.
But on that panel, having a conversation about what folks saw, and also the experiences that people have in their own communities, was Mr. John Covington, there to have that conversation. Next to him, you had Orlando City Commissioner Bakari Burns, who was doing an outstanding job in the community, there to lend his voice as to his experience as a black man and what he sees as an elected official in the community serving individuals. Then you had none other than the world-renowned Dr. Randy B. Nelson, who goes across the country talking to law enforcement and communities about the relationship of what it takes to build stronger communities by coming together and understanding the various aspects of what each brings to the table. Then you have Mr. McKenzie, who was there, who brought a level of honesty, a level of firsthand experience of when you make a mistake, and how you move away from that mistake. And now, as a family man, how you want to do things.
And younger generation too.
Better as a young man, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he was there to present on the panel. But also, last and certainly not least, and that's the reason why I came this way, was Admiral David Brewer, African American, an admiral in the U.S. Navy. At the time that he became an admiral, he was the only African American admiral in the Navy at the time, is my understanding. And the reason why I came that way, all of these gentlemen, fantastic resumes, everything that they brought to the table. But Brother Love, I don't know if people really and truly understand what it takes to become an admiral in the United. That is akin to a general in every other branch of the service. But to become an admiral in the U.S. Navy, Brother Love, at the time period when he became an admiral, was something that I actually pulled him aside and I said, listen, you have a whole other story of your own. And Mr. Covington actually heard me. He was like, we got to do something on him and people like him. Because that is going to be a fascinating story, because people don't understand that once you get to the 05 level, I want to say 06, maybe it's 06, once you get to the 06 level, that has to be confirmed by Congress. That is not just something that you just go up and get, and then you have to be vetted from beginning of your career until that very moment. And so for us to have an admiral, a film producer, a world-renowned community engager with law enforcement, with communities, to have a shining star, an up-and-coming political figure in Bakari Burns, and to have a young man, Mr. McKenzie, that was sitting there having this conversation, was outstanding, Brother Love.
Outstanding, great, but the way you navigated the process of asking the questions and pulling those answers, I mean, great. That could have been a segue to the Orlando Black Man documentary, listening to that panel respond to how the documentary made them feel and what emotions it pulled from them.
Yeah, and you know, listen, let it be known that Mr. Covington so much is stated
Yeah.
that he would very much consider doing a Black Man Orlando, and thankfully Commissioner Burns was there, and I basically said, now you know, this area, I don't think I have to tell you that, but you got one of the people that can
Move and shake it.
That's right.
That can make it happen.
So yeah, but no, listen, man. Once again, outstanding event, great conversation, and looking forward to more like that, brother.
Absolutely.
Love, so.
Well, Brother Jackson, man, can you, speak to the heart and soul, our good friend Paul Billings, and man, the great success that took place Saturday night.
Yeah, so once again, it was the 4th annual Heart and Soul Festival. Had some fantastic music that was there for the attendees. Zap, Midnight Star, Confunction, who this is their 2nd time there.
Yeah.
You also had Troop, and they had Mickey Howard. I believe she was there for the 2nd one also. And so, I'm certain that everything as in the years past was top notch.
Greg, I don't know if this dates me or not, but I could actually understand everything that was being sung.
Well, listen, because there wasn't no curse. Listen, I'm telling you, there wasn't no cussing. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't any cursing, wasn't foul language. It's real music, brother.
Real music. And Greg, do you remember Computer Love?
Oh, of course.
Greg, man, I'm telling you, man, I think that brought down the house.
Listen, man, and then the movie that I was in that most people don't remember was Menace to Society.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
A lot of people don't remember that. Yeah, man. Yeah. So.
Hey, kudos to Paul Billings. I mean, and it was great that he allowed FEC to partner in collaboration, Greg. And again, man, I can't take anything whatsoever away from you. Where you navigated the moderating of that. But see, I say just with the panelists, but people don't know, I was moving in the audience, and you, Brother Love, somebody right there has a question. I mean, young people, people who provide services in the community.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, it was just incredible with their engagement.
Yeah, and it just kind of took me back to one guy, and when he got finished, I was like, "Sir, I think you just asked a question, and gave a compliment at the same doggone time."
He did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was that type of conversation where a lot of times when people go places, they don't feel comfortable opening up about certain issues in the African American community. And this was one of those times where people felt very comfortable with having the conversation about Black men.
Well, I'm going to tell it, Greg. That individual was Mr. Morgan of Morgan Ministries, that is a youth violence prevention service provider. And he actually brought about 4 or 5 young men with him. Mm-hmm. And again, as you mentioned, I was moving around getting questions from the audience, but he asked and answered
and gave a compliment.
So that was great. But hey, man. So Greg, what else do we have, man? Oh, Mexican.
Listen, brother, when we talk about African American communities, and we're gonna touch on this a little bit more than what I think people want to. And I'm gonna tell you right now, my mom, listen, she about to be mad at me. I'm just gonna say it right now. She's gonna be mad at me because Obama got out there and he said some things that I'm not very happy with, and it's a lot of other African American men that aren't happy with it because it's the same thing that we keep hearing. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But election day, Brother Love, we've been waiting for this time period now for 4 years. This is when we get a chance to determine who the next president of these United States is going to be. It's going to be a new person or a new old person if Donald J. Trump wins versus Kamala Harris. And so this is going to be a very pivotal and important election.
I like the way you slid that in.
What's that?
It's going to be a new person or a new old person. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's going to be one or the other. But let's talk a little bit about locally Orange County. It's probably the same across the country with other communities. So early voting starts. We want you all to understand this. Early voting starts October 21st. And so, you can get out, you can go to any precinct here in Central Florida or wherever you are. I believe you can go to any precinct, but I know specifically here in Orange County, you can go to any precinct. And that's from that's from October 21st to November 3rd. Mm-hmm. So please, ma'am, sir, get out and vote. If you have a young person who has just gotten their voter's registration, please take them out to vote. You have 2 weeks to get out and go anywhere. Now, if they miss that time, they have to wait until November 5th, and you have to go to your designated precinct. The other thing too, Brother Love, is that in addition to that, that the deadline for vote by mail ballots is going to be coming up soon. I want to say it's the 17th of October, so if you have not gotten your vote by mail, you have a little bit of time to request your vote by mail. That's for any of you all who have students who are out of town, outside of the county, that they are domiciled, that is their home address. For instance, my daughter, who is up on the highest of 7 Hills, if she's going to vote by mail, she has to request that by the 17th of October, I want to say. But Brother Love, there's also, in addition to these deadlines, there's some other things that's taking place with the supervisor of election, with monies to help educate people about, getting out to vote and different things like that. And by that I mean none other than our supervisor of elections, Mr. Glenn Gelzine.
Absolutely. Greg, supervisor of election Glenn Gelzine has put into effect, and Greg, we can't trace this anywhere else in the country.
Hold on. You know what?
What's that?
We forgot to tell the people that they're tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Podcast, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo guaranteed to raise your IQs 10 to 15 points. And Brother Love, on some nights, it's going to be 25 to 30. If you want to be a part of tonight's conversation, all you have to do is hit 321-483-7002. Again, that's 321-483-7002. Talk to Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo. Brother Love, let's get it on.
Boy, I tell you, nobody does it better. So, Greg, here's what I'm about to say. Supervisor of election Glenn Gelzine, man, has been the innovator, the creator, the originator.
That's right.
Of just, man, some excellent processes. And here's one that you just kind of spoke of. He has put in place a grant program for not-for-profit organizations for what's called OC Vote. And OC Vote stands for Voter Outreach, Training, and Education.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Faith-based organizations, not-for-profit organizations, fraternities, sororities, civic organizations, you name it, as long as you're a not-for-profit organization, you can actually apply for funding, and it has different levels. Let me give you the levels real quick. You can apply, and this goes down, Greg, to your small mom-and-pop organizations, $1,000 for a Clementine Award. And again, this is to get voter information, outreach, and education.
Right.
If you're just passing out flyers, letting people know about information about voting, not telling anybody who to vote for, because that's prohibited. So you got $2,000 Tangerine Award. You have a $10,000 Hamlin Level Award, and you also have two other awards: $25,000 what do you call it, Greg? Kumquat Award.
Yeah. If this look like a little orange.
Well, Doc was talking about that earlier. He goes plug nose.
Yeah.
And then $75,000 for a Citron Award. Let me sum this up for you. If you're interested in applying, if you're making church announcements, if you're in a fraternity, and a good friend of the show, and I believe in the same fraternity as yourself, and I'm talking about none other than Pinto.
Brother Pinto, yes sir, Alpha Phi Alpha.
All the work, Rick, that the fraternity of the Alphas, and I'm not going to take it away from those Kappas, those Sigmas, those Qs. Who am I missing?
I mean, that's pretty much it. For the male side. For the male side, and our oldest as well. And then you also have your sororities with the Deltas, the AKAs, the Zetas, as well as the Gamma Sigma Rhos. So
think about all the work that they have done historically, providing education. But Greg, guess what? This is not something that's just 30 days or 60 days, as you and I have been critical of when we see organizations come in 60 days, 30 days before an election, and they put people on the ground that we don't even know.
Yeah.
Well, now your organization can apply not just before this election, but year-round, to continue to give education and information out. So, Greg, I'm telling everybody to contact the Orange County Supervisor of Elections Office. Get more information, get the application. Call that office and tell them you want an application emailed to you so you can apply for this funding.
Absolutely. And once again, we have to give big ups and big kudos to Brother Glenn Gelzine, who is the supervisor of elections. This is his brainchild.
This is his brainchild.
Yeah.
Let me segue for something you just said. You mentioned everybody, and you given that voter information and education and training right now, but something you just mentioned about the day of election that you have to go to your precinct. Well, this information tells people that, hey, look, if you go to that precinct, if you go to a precinct and it's not your designated precinct, and they tell you that unfortunately you can't vote at that precinct, and you happen to be persistent, and they allow you to vote, you get a provisional ballot.
Right.
And you mentioned your daughter also in relationship to the mail-in ballot.
Right.
Well, here's the other thing. Because of laws changing and things of the nature, you need to be privy to it, that you have to go, I believe it's every 2 years, and we can get a fact check on this, but to update your signatures so that you can actually have your mail-in ballot mailed to you so that you can get it and mail it back out.
Right.
So
That's
these
right.
are some of the things, not all of them, but the Orange County Supervisor election, if you apply and get awarded these grants, you'll also be afforded to go through a virtual or in-person training so that you're well equipped with the knowledge and information and documentation to go out there and do the job right.
And here's the other thing too, that Brother Geraldine talked about, because he was in attendance on Friday also. He talked about that, for the first time, the historic town of Eatonville, which is the oldest black charter municipality in the country, is going to be a location for early voting. And so, let's make this a historic time for the town of Eatonville, the historic town of Eatonville. And if you want to go early vote in this historic election, one way or the other, you can do so in the town of Eatonville. Now, I don't think Eatonville gets any benefit from it. They don't get any kickbacks, but at least you get a chance to experience, the town that freedom built.
You're right.
The oldest African American chartered municipality in the country. You can early vote between October 21st and November 3rd in the historic town of Eatonville.
Okay, Greg, educate. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, that's the only way you don't know. But at the highest level of the election, and I'm talking about the presidential, who do people have the choice of selecting from?
You talking about for the presidential election or just in
just
general?
for folk that have been living underneath a rock or
I mean, listen, they have a choice between Vice President Kamala Harris, who in essence took the place of Joe Biden after the June debate, and the Democratic Party decided that he was not as sharp as they had been telling us that he was, and you can tell them a little bit better by that, because they told me that he was as sharp as ever. That's what they told me as a Democrat, against Donald Trump, who is the former president of these United States, who apparently is proving himself to most certainly be the Teflon Don, because this guy is having more assassination threats than any other presidential candidate in history at this point.
you're right.
So that that's the choice at the top of the ticket. But obviously, there's some other folks. Former Governor Rick Scott, he is on the ballot for his Senate seat this year. But more locally, Brother Love, here, the supervisor of election, that is a race that folks are going to be looking out for. You have 3 candidates in that race, one of which is Karen Castadental, as well as West Hodge. There's another gentleman and another young lady who's in that race. And then there's also another race, Brother Love, that we talked about quite a bit, actually 2 races that we talked about quite a bit, one of which is the Orange County District 1 race, with the gentleman who has been in, sat down and talked to us, Mr. Ashton Arthur, and his opponent who is in
And not just talk to us.
Yeah,
He talked to Let's Talk Nation.
That's right. And then for Orange County District 3, another young lady who came in, talked to Let's Talk Nation. She is the incumbent in that race in the form of Ms. Uribe, Commissioner Uribe, and her opponent is Linda Stewart, who is a former commissioner, former representative, former Senate, who just can't seem to want to get out of politics.
You're right, but Greg, I can't even floss over Commissioner Uribe when she came in and basically educate. I mean, we thought and you and I, we are pupils of what takes place in government, but she came in and she broke down, man, some of the aspects of some of the things that we need to keep our eye on, man. And when I say she has her fingers on the pulse of what's taking place, when I say that she is a good steward of public service and taxpayer dollars, man, Commissioner Uribe came in and basically laid it out for us.
Yeah, no doubt. And Brother Love, just to be fair, because I don't want to, listen, I was a political candidate in 2 different races, and I never wanted someone to mention the race that I was in and not mention my name. So I want to be fair to the other individuals who are running in that supervisor of election race. Again, I mentioned Kara Castadental, also mentioned West Hodge, but there's also Dan Helm, as well as Sunny Linda Marie Groove. And so those are the other individuals that are running in that race. And as I indicated, the District 1 race for Orange County and the District 3 race for Orange County. But then you also have the District 5 race for Orange County, Brother Love, and that is Kelly Smarad, I want to say Semarad, and Steve Leary, Leary. I only spelled his last name because I spelled her last name. We don't want anybody to say that we are being preferential to anyone unless it's a good friend of ours, and we're going to be preferential as much as we want to be at that point. So,
Greg,
as
wasn't-
in Commissioner Uribe
Yeah.
and Mr. Austin.
You,
So I'm just
but
gonna say-
wasn't Leary was a former mayor
Winter
of
Park.
Winter Park. Okay,
Winter Park. That's right. That's right. So yeah. So I mean, listen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, moving on to the next phase, and I believe he believes that that's the next phase in his life, and it's all good. It's
Great.
all good.
Can I push you back just because you brought something up and I don't want to lose that point. I know it's further in our punch, but another assassination attempt.
So you don't want to push it. You don't want to bring it up, but then you're gonna bring it up.
I
What
had
you want to do now?
Well, I want to talk.
What you
I
wanna- you
want
wanna
to
push
talk
it
about
back,
that.
or
I
you
want to
wanna
talk about it
now?
I want to talk
You
about
want
it
it right now?
Yes, sir.
Right now.
Right now.
This minute.
It's hot. I mean, because we've had this. Great. This would be the third attempt, wouldn't it?
Listen, and I've said this before, and I've had people to come to me and say, I wish someone would be successful at these attempts, and I think that is an absolute wrong attitude.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I think it's a wrong attitude is because if the shoe was on the other
Right.
foot, I would not want it to be a Democrat that was afraid that if they had their hat in the ring, that they would have to face being assassinated.
Correct. We don't-
So,
yeah.
So that's the reason why, whether I like Donald Trump or not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't condone. I don't think that it's appropriate that this man who has put his name in the hat to run for president, like him or not, I don't think that should be open season to try to take this man's life.
You're
I just
absolutely
don't.
right. And Greg, I saw this and I was thinking maybe this is somebody not smart goes to a rally.
Well, let's break it down for
Yeah.
people. I mean, because the first one was the one that happened in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
All right, so that was the first one. Then there was another attempt that happened. Was it in Georgia?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
so.
There was another attempt in Georgia. I want to say we may be off on that, but the last attempt just happened today or yesterday in Arizona, if I recall correctly. And so what it was is that he was in a rally, and approximately a quarter mile from the rally, they had like different checkpoints. Thankfully, I guess. And at one of these checkpoints, they identified a gentleman who was in line with the handgun, with the shotgun, with fake ID, who was trying to get into this rally. And so this was what they considered to be yet another threat to the life of Donald J. Trump, who is a candidate for president as the Republican nominee. And it's sad that our country
Very.
has come to that point to where, somebody can't go and run for president without worrying about being killed. And again, like I said, Brother Love, I thought that it was the Trump supporters and the MAGA folks that was supposed to be the deranged ones. But right now it seems that it's the Democrats who has the yahoos, because each one of these individuals, to my understanding, were either Democrats or supporters of Democrats that's doing this. And I don't think that there's enough to decry what's taking place. I know that Joe Biden, thankfully, and even Kamala Harris has stepped up and said this has no place in politics, which I 100% agree with.
You're absolutely right, Greg. And I don't know what it's going to take, man, to just even stop this kind of behavior. This guy was in line, Greg, with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then I read something more that he had a high velocity
Yeah.
magazine that
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to just walk
Right.
into a store and purchase.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, listen, it's going to all be over in about 30 some odd days is what they say,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
20 some odd
yeah.
days, whatever it is. Let's hope that we return to some normalcy. But listen, I thought that when Joe Biden became president, that there was going to be a sense of normalcy here in this country, that there was going to be a sense of togetherness and getting along. But over the past 3 years, it seems as if we are still divided in this country, and divided even more so than we have been ever, to where political candidates' lives are being threatened, or at least in one party, a political candidate's life is being threatened because he's running for president.
Great. Let me ask you this: do you believe that? Because you and I, we've seen, witnessed, and everybody's kind of heard this. But do you think that friends and family members who have become divided based on how polarized this is? Because you got family members that don't talk to each other anymore because of the differences of their political views. Do you see a healing or mending, or people coming back to some reality that, man, we're not going to let this dampen our relationship. Let's just not talk about it or something.
Not for a long time, brother.
Not-
And let me tell you why. So look, I had a good friend in high school. He would come to Orlando, visit me. The last time I went to my class reunion, we hung out. He told those stories about how I saved his life and everything else. until we started talking about politics. And I had to cut him off. And I haven't spoken to my friend, my high school friend, now for about 4 years because of a political disagreement. And I think that what's taking place right now, Brother Love, and this is from the top down, one of the most offensive things that I heard happened in the 2020 election cycle when Joe Biden got on television and said, if you're thinking about voting for me, then you're not black. And the notion that every black person has to vote Democrat, and if as a black person you don't vote Democrat, then you're Uncle Tom, there's something wrong with you and all this other stuff. And I think that there can't be a healing because individuals, whether the Democrats lose or they win, it's been this notion of we as African Americans don't have a choice. And that's the sad part. And when I say it starts from top to bottom, I mean, even from the standpoint of Barack Obama this past weekend, or this past week, they brought him down from Martha's Vineyard to sit down and talk to black men. And the conversation that he wanted to have with black men is that we have to vote for Kamala Harris because she's black. We have to do this. And my thing is that we don't have to do anything. And if we look at the policies of what's taking place, if that does not align with you and what you believe in, why are you telling us or forcing us to believe that this is the person that is right for our community? And there are a number of African American men, and I think that right now, the most in our country's history, that more African American men are moving away from the Democratic Party than ever before, and there's a reason why. And now, we are now being pandered to as African American males. Now, you as a Republican, and I hope you don't mind me outing you. And
I've been out for a long time.
I hope you don't mind me outing you. Brother Love's out the closet. He's a Republican. I'm not. But you're not being pandered to, or you're not being told what to do as I am as a black male Democrat. And now all of a sudden, Kamala Harris, who's been saying, "Oh, it's time to turn the page," but Brother Love, the page that we're turning from is 4 years of Joe Biden. They keep talking as if all of the bad stuff that's happened in this country has been under Donald Trump. No, the stuff that we're talking about has been under the Biden-Harris administration. But just today, she came out with a plan of what her plan is to help black men financially.
What was that, man?
I don't know what it is, but I'm offended by that. I'm offended by that. I'm offended by the fact that every time they talk to African American males about the issues that are important to us in the community has to deal with social justice, with prison, with welfare, with all these other things, when that's not even the life that I live. Mm-hmm. They presume that as a black man, that those are the things that's important to me, and they're not.
But let me say this to you. Let me say this to you, Brother Jackson. Here's something that I am very happy about. You know what that is?
What?
Now that they're finally talking to black men.
Listen, but why?
But
why?
You know the why. You know the why.
So when you say, "Oh, they're finally talking to," why?
They're concerned.
They're concerned. Right, but what happens after this conversation? Are they going to continue to talk to us, or are they going to do us like they do?
I'm with you on that.
Are they going to do us like they do the African American community every 4 years when they come and they ask us for our vote, and then we don't see them again?
Okay, but here's the other part. And man, I do not agree. I love the fact that black men are speaking up. I love the fact that they're voicing not only their concern, but they're placing an argument in place. But here's something, man, that I've been observing, and it's been on social media like crazy. Hey, man, I totally disagree with the level of disrespect that you see black men exerting toward Magic Johnson. I love the fact that they're
Magic Johnson.
Oh, you have, man, Greg, you've been under a rock for a minute because Magic Johnson at one of Vice President Harris's campaign rallies, Magic Johnson told black men that they have a responsibility to get out and vote for Vice President Harris.
He was wrong.
You're right.
He was wrong. So what? Listen, anything out of his mouth when he says that, do we have a responsibility to vote for her? He's wrong. And whatever backlash comes from that, he needs to own that.
You're right. He owns
that.
No,
that's what he said.
But the level of the backlash that is taking place against him, it's not. It's directed at him, but it's. I think what else that it's pulling in, they're pulling in and they're redirecting a lot of this toward Magic, and they're talking about the fact that, man, you go back and tell us how you raised your son, and you know where I'm going. So that, Greg, I got to tell you, man. I don't agree with that. I mean, I totally don't, but I love the fact that these black men are stepping up, and we often hear this thing about black people aren't monolithic in their thinking. Well, man, these brothers are letting it be known. And again, my party, I'm gonna say this, my party, man, I think that there's a missed opportunity to have a conversation about how big this 10
Oh,
is.
so, no, it's an absolute missed opportunity
Yeah.
by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, I mean, after this election, I'm probably going to be a former Democrat. And you know, the interesting thing is that I'm not looking to the Republican Party to cast my, you know, to cast my allegiance or alliance to, or affiliation to, I guess I should say, because I don't have any alliance affiliation, whatever the case may be, because I don't think that anyone is really and truly speaking to African American males.
Right.
I think that they're talking at us. I think that they're telling us what we have to do for someone else's benefit, but they're not talking to us and the issues that are important to us as African American men.
Do you think, Greg, do you believe that Democrats are really concerned about black men at this point in time? Because I've never seen a focus, a laser-like focus, to speak to black men about what their value is. I've never seen it before.
No, I mean, listen, this is about getting votes right now. If this were sincere, then this push to have some type of program for African American males to improve their economic or financial conditions would have done at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration. I mean, the fact that we're just now hearing this with 30 some odd days from the, or 20 some odd days from an election is offensive. The fact that, you know, Magic Johnson feels that he can come out and tell us that we have a responsibility to do anything. The fact that Barack Obama comes from his mansion in Martha's Vineyard to talk to us and tell us that we have that we have to vote for Kamala Harris for any reason is offensive. The fact that Democrats, white Democrats, are telling black men that they are not black because they do not agree with and do not want to support Kamala Harris is offensive, because what you're telling us is that we have no right to think for ourselves. That is what the whole democratic process is about, is that we have a right to think for ourselves. We have a right to speak freely about how we feel about things, but yet and still when we do it, we're ostracized. We're told that we are not who we are. How do you tell somebody that if we don't vote for somebody, that is a direct affront on who we've been all of our lives?
Yeah. Greg, so what do you think the outcome is going to be for the interview with Charlemagne and the Vice President that's coming up here pretty soon? Why is it so important to go sit down with Charlemagne now?
It's not. I mean, his audience is not the audience that she needs to be touching. His audience is who she's been talking to for the past, well, how long has she been the nominee now? That's his audience. That does not change anything.
Since July.
She needs to be talking to the individuals who are still asking the question of who is Kamala Harris. She needs to be talking to the individuals who are asking the question of why is it that your positions have changed. She needs to be talking to the individuals that are asking the question of when you were border czar, why did things fail? She needs to be talking to the individuals and explaining to them why under the Biden-Harris administration inflation went up. Why under the Biden-Harris administration gas prices are going up? Why under the Biden-Harris administration food prices are going up? And why is it that just now you are starting to want to come up with a program that's going to benefit black men when there was, and there's an interview from her where she says that she can't do anything for one in particular group. Why would she do it? That was her words. Why would I do anything for one in particular group? Now she wants to single out black men because why? Because someone has told her that black men are fleeing the Democratic Party because we feel as if we are not respected. And I'm just going to say it. I mean, you know, black female voters, y'all feel how you want to feel. You know what I'm saying? That's how you feel. But I'm going to say, as an African-American male, I feel that I've been disrespected far too long as a Democratic black male voter.
We'll definitely see what's going to take place. Greg, this is a perfect segue to the VP debate.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think about that? Was there any yards or any ground made up in that?
There was some. No, there was some. There was some, and there was some things that were revealed in that vice presidential debate. You know, there was some eye-opening things that we needed to see about both candidates. Mm-hmm. And I will say this: that vice presidential debate was the level of debate that we needed to see for the president, for the presidential debate. They were civil. They were respectful towards each other. They didn't make any childish remarks and different things on both sides. I mean, because remember, the thing that got Trump going when Kamala Harris made a comment about the people leaving his rallies, because she knew that. I mean,
Yeah,
she was. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, she was poking. I mean, but the fact that Donald Trump then comes out and talks about there are people in Springfield, Ohio, I think it was, that are eating cats and dogs. Now, I will say, Brother Love, that I did see recently a podcast with an individual who lives in Ohio, who is from Haiti, who has a cousin from Haiti that was there, and I'll send it to you if you want to see it, where the cousin from Haiti was saying that yes, in Haiti we do eat cats. You can actually go places and you can buy cats because they eat cats. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I don't know, but it's interesting that these things have become an issue in this election cycle, because that's what they talked about in the presidential debate. But this vice presidential debate, it was on issue, it was on topic. There were some things brought out that I think were very key for people to see. I will say this though, if we're talking about someone who is second in command, as much as a likable guy as Waltz was, I think he was a very likable guy. I don't think that that's the guy that you want to be second in command. I just don't. Vance, like or don't like him, I thought that he was very poised. I thought that he was very well thought out. I thought that he carried the pail for the Republican Party, and I thought that he did a very good job. Even to this day, Tim Walz is still making errors and faux pas. That he's just not the guy. But I didn't like him when they announced him. Mm-hmm. I thought that there were other people, just like when they selected Joe Biden, I thought that there were other people that should have been the presidential nominee. Walz just does not have that vice presidential feel that we needed this time.
So Greg, do you think that, I mean, I'm gonna just give you my opinion. I thought debate was more issues focused versus a lot of the absurdities.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, J.D. Vance is quick on his feet, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, even they had rules to the debate, and when the commentators tried to fact check him, he checked them, mm-hmm. and so much so until they had to cut off his mic because he was getting in their behind
because they had rules
to this,
and they were violating the rules.
But when we talk about just sheer issues, a command of the issues, and understanding of the issues, I think that J.D. Vance did a very good job. Where Tim Walz did very well, he backed J.D. Vance up against the wall when he talked about the election, who won the election. But Vance, being who he was, he basically said, listen, you're talking about something that happened 3 years ago. Let's talk about the issues that's important to people now. Let's talk about people's free speech being assaulted under this administration. Let's talk about the gas prices. Let's talk about the food prices. And I think that he brought it back, to what the issues were. But both of them, Brother Love, to their credit, and I cannot, I cannot say this enough, but both of them had the respect for each other, had the respect for this country, had the respect for the office that they're seeking to have, to say, listen, we can agree on some things.
There was a certain decorum that you expect to see.
Yeah, we can disagree on some things. Mm-hmm. But they were able to shake hands at the end of that debate. And I think that they could actually have a real meaningful conversation. That was the type of debate that we needed to see from the two presidential candidates.
You're absolutely correct. Greg, I'm going to keep us rolling, man. Harris' husband, Vice President Harris' husband, was accused of something just recently.
This is very interesting, and I don't know, if folks have heard about this. And, Let's Talk Nation, we try to keep you all up on different things. And, whether or not, I don't know if it becomes a real campaign issue or not, but it is of interest. Mm-hmm. And only because when Senator Harris sat on the committee for Brett Kavanaugh, and there was an allegation against Brett Kavanaugh that was unfounded, she basically said, I believe her. Basically saying that anything a woman accuses a man of doing, she believes the woman. And those were, in essence, her words. Brother Love, a woman has accused Vice President Harris's husband of assaulting her. It was a former girlfriend. They were at a hotel in Cannes, and she was speaking to someone. He got upset, and it's been reported that he slapped the woman across her face. That's the type of thing that and only because he's the first gentleman. They're touting him as the new sign of masculinity, a man who has stepped aside to allow his wife to be the vice president, which I'm still trying to figure out. You allowed your wife to be, no, your wife is the vice president. You didn't allow anything, the people elected her. But listen, this is the type of thing that, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if it is the case, Vice President Harris should be the first one to step forward and say, hey, listen, if this is true, my husband was wrong. I believe her. But we haven't heard that. It's been swept under the rug. by by legacy media, because they don't want you to hear that there is yet even more inconsistencies with this campaign.
But when you talk about media, though, Greg, I think that opens up another whole can of worms in terms of the level of reporting that we witnessed and seen. I mean, I just, where do you get your news from is going to be the big question.
That is a big question. And listen, if you're getting your news from Let's Talk Nation, all you got to know is that we're just giving you the straight news. Now, it may sound slanted to some, but it's only because I'm giving the straight facts. I'm not, as a Democrat, I'm not going to say, oh, no, listen, I want you to hear and I want you to understand what is being reported and make your decisions from there.
Well, Greg, what's that famous thing you often say? No chaser?
Oh, straight with no chaser.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
straight
That's
shot, no
it.
chaser.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Hey, Greg. So, man, let me fast forward you. Man, these hurricanes, man. Hurricane Helene and Milton devastation.
The state of Florida. The Big Bend area had to suffer through Helene. We just saw that, and the folks in North Carolina. Let's our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the folks in North Carolina, parts of Georgia, because they're still without power, still struggling up in those areas from Hurricane Helene. And then 2 weeks later, Brother Love, the middle part of Florida is hit by a hurricane in the form of Milton, which became the fastest forming Cat 5 hurricane in history, is my understanding. Thankfully, it downgraded to a Category 3 by the time it hit the west coast of Florida. But the devastation that it caused on the west coast in certain and specific areas was life-changing for a lot of folks. And so, our thoughts, hearts, and prayers, go out to, the people in those areas who are, beginning a new struggle, who are continuing to struggle, from these storms.
Greg, what about this famous phone call?
What famous phone call?
The phone call that was supposedly made to the state of Florida.
So yeah, all right. So, but those who, some of you all may have heard, because this is, just even more faux pas coming from the campaigns. And so, while Ron DeSantis, who is the governor that has overseen multiple hurricanes here in the state of Florida, has put together a disaster relief plan here in the state of Florida that I think is exceptional for any state's governor. While he's preparing for a Category 4 or 3 hurricane to hit the state of Florida, apparently candidate Vice President Harris calls the governor of the state of Florida. The governor of the state of Florida does not take a call. He basically says that he didn't even know that she was trying to call because he was trying to prepare his state and his people for a disaster. And so Kamala Harris got on the news and she said that it was shameful that the governor of the state of Florida was politicizing, this storm, and was not answering her phone call because he was missing out on resources that could be given. The problem with that, Brother Love, yes, the phone call took place. Yes, Governor DeSantis did not know of the call, and even if he knew about it, he said he would not have taken the call because Vice President Harris is not in the chain of command for providing disaster relief. That is up to the President of the United States, which is still Joe Biden, as well as the head of FEMA, which Governor DeSantis was in close conversations and communications with. As a matter of fact, President Joe Biden came out and said that the governor of the state of Florida had his personal number and had spoken to him, and that he was doing a great job in preparing the state of Florida for the storm. And so that was yet another attempt to politicize an event that's taking place in the state of Florida unfortunately by Kamala Harris, because she was saying that Ron DeSantis was supposed to or should have taken her phone call. That was not the case. And so these are the types of things that I don't like, Brother Love. If the people are going to make decisions, let's make decisions based on actual things. And Ron DeSantis did not and was not required to take Kamala Harris's phone call.
So that leads me to this question to you, man. And Greg, we've talked about this. Well, we're going on 7 years of actually, performing the show. Is it okay to politicize natural disasters?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It should never be done. In this case, I think that there was a failed attempt to do so by a presidential candidate saying that the governor of a certain state did not take that person's call and was hurting the people of that state by not taking that person's call, when that person is not in the chain of command to direct resources to this state at all.
So do you remember and I was going to call him a famous mayor of the city of Chicago, but
Of
he's not
course.
famous. But you remember who I'm talking about? That's Ron Emanuel.
Yeah, Ron Emanuel. Yeah, you never let a good catastrophe go to waste. Those were the words of a Democratic political strategist, which, listen, it works. It works. I mean, if people did not know, if people really and truly thought that Kamala Harris was a person that controlled the purse strings, that controlled the resources that the state of Florida needed in order to respond to this disaster, then yeah, Ron DeSantis would be absolutely wrong, and he would have. But she does not hold or wield that power as the vice president. That is clearly the function of the president of these United States, which once again, Joe Biden, to his credit, said no. I've spoken to all of the governors, even the governor in the state of Florida. May have gotten off to a rocky start, but he has my personal number, and he's doing a great job. He said that directly after Kamala Harris' statement.
Well, great. I'm gonna roll this back a little bit too. And this was something that I talked about on the sit down, the earlier show, and that is, Greg, I am a Florida native. Yes, I left Florida for a little while to go to college, came back home. But anybody who lives in Florida, we have hurricanes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things, Greg, I've noticed, and I don't know if you mentioned it regarding the state and Governor DeSantis and, the level of preparedness. But one of the things that I've noticed over the years is local government and state government, and yeah, I'm talking about city, county, and the state of Florida. They've gotten better at their advancement as it relates to technology and communicating with local communities that these disasters are about to hit. They've gotten better, and earlier Doc Polite was saying, gotten better with getting information out. But Greg, I'm going to tell you, I believe local government and state government have gotten better at the way they communicate to the local community.
Yeah.
And our good friend, Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood, when the disaster was headed toward Volusia County, and they were telling people to evacuate, those that refused, I believe it was Sheriff Chitwood that's
It was actually a couple of them. I think the first one to do it that I recall was in Georgia, if I remember right.
And those first responders were basically saying, and these are executive leaders, said, hey, well, if you're not going to evacuate, do us one favor. Get a marker and write on your ankle your name and your date of birth.
And listen, though, Brother Love, all jokes aside on that, unfortunately, I think that the death toll from Milton is 25 folks right now.
Man.
Which is, it's horrible that people lost their lives in this storm, but this was a serious storm. I know that if you look around, a lot of folks didn't lose lights, a lot of folks didn't have as much damage, but this storm caused some significant damage and took life. I want to say that the estimates are currently, I know that Joe Biden has pledged $600 million to the disaster relief for Milton alone. And I want to say that the estimate of this storm, the damage caused, is in the billions already.
But Greg, don't say that without talking about what level of impact that we possibly are going to have when you look at property insurance costs.
Yeah, but thankfully, I think the state of Florida has done a good job of getting insurers here in the state that are going to stick it out with the folks that pay their premiums and that have homes and different things like that. So, I hope that there are no issues with that. I really truly hope that there are no issues with that. But brother, let me just circle back on something, because what I think I have to give a caveat, because I think that a lot of times when folks hear me talk, they think that I have an issue or a problem with Kamala Harris, which I don't. And there's certain things that I don't like about her policies. But I have a great deal of respect for Kamala Harris and how she's come up through the ranks and different things of that nature. But listen, I don't agree with my wife on everything. And so if you think that I'm going to agree with everything that Kamala Harris says, or whatever the case may be, then you're wrong. If you think that I'm just going to vote for her because of the color of her skin, and we're not going to get into the race part, then you're wrong about that. And I think that I'm more upset as a Democratic black male, Brother Love, that I've been told that I have to do something. That if I don't do something, that brings into question who I am as an African American male. And so I'm more frustrated with the attitude of certain Democrats. I'm more frustrated with the attitude of the Democratic Party in telling me that I have to do something because of the color of my skin. And that is, anyone who believes that or anyone that's hearing that, you should feel disturbed by that. Listen, they even tell you in church, Brother Love, let's get biblical on this thing. Let's get biblical on this thing. But for those who are biblical, when you're giving your tithes, it even say the Lord loves a cheerful giver. If I'm going to give you my vote, you want me to be cheerful in giving you my vote. You don't want me going up in there mad and upset because listen, if I can't be cheerful in giving you my vote, don't be upset with me about that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Don't be upset with me about that. You have to understand that the place and the position that I, as an African-American male, and coming from the things that are important to me, the values that I hold near and dear to my heart, are not tied to a political party where that party can tell me what to do as if I'm in a communist country.
Major issue is telling people, particularly black men, if you don't vote for a particular person, then you're not black.
Listen, to hold a meeting to chastise African American men. I mean, listen, man, I'm very disappointed in Barack Obama. I'm very disappointed in D.L. Hughley. I'm very disappointed in Magic Johnson. To say that we have a responsibility to vote for someone because of the color of their skin, that is very disappointing to me. And anyone that says that, and I'm very disappointed in my white counterparts who are Democrats that have the nerve to say that if I don't vote with or if I don't agree with Kamala Harris, that brings into question who I've been for all of my life. That no one can take that from me.
Greg, there used to be, and when I say used to be, I'm talking about a short period of time ago when people were saying and encouraging folk to actually get out to vote, and not, the focus was, hey, if you don't vote this way, you're not black.
Yeah. Listen, and I'm going to say this again. It's important that we get out and vote. It was mentioned on Sunday. For communities who don't understand, politicians count votes. And when I say that, they look to see what communities turn out to vote. If they see that there are areas that have low representations in terms of the vote, more than likely you get less of the resources. So it's important that you go out to vote. Now, I say that to say, even if you go into the voters booth and you don't vote for anybody, the fact that you show up says that you care about the process. I've always said, and I will continue to maintain, that your right to vote is not someone's right to your vote. I do not subscribe to voting for the lesser of two evils. If I step into that voters booth and I don't know or I don't like either one of those candidates, I'm not putting a mark by either one of those candidates. But you know what, Brother Love? That's why I'm a super voter, because I show up at every single election. I exercise my right to vote, and that's why people come. The lady came to knock on my door, on this past Saturday. Are you Mr. Jackson? I am. I want to talk to you about this because I'm a super voter. And I told her, I said, listen, I don't know what people have been telling you. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this issue, but I'll tell you what, I appreciate you for being out here walking and getting information out to people.
You know, Greg, you mentioned that you're a super voter, and I'm going to say this before we run out of time. Something else that both of us have discovered, aside from individuals being super voters, Greg, do you realize that there are super voting churches there now that actually know and they're not, to my knowledge, not encouraging or telling the congregation who to vote for, but are polling their members from an education perspective of saying, how many people in my congregation are actually voters?
Listen, let me, and I know that there are a lot of churches like this, but I got to give a special shout out to St. Paul AME, which is my church. And in particular, Pastor Gerard Moss is the senior pastor there, but in particular, Brother Bobby Scott. Okay. He is the chair of the Social Action Committee for St. Paul AME Church. And he took it upon himself, Brother Love, to put together a voter education forum that brought together individuals in the community and provided this information. And so when you say that there are churches that are super voter churches, it's that type and that level of understanding of the importance of someone's voice in this process.
And Brother Bobby Scott is a good man, by the way. But Greg, hey man, this has been a fantastic show. I got to tell you real quick before we run out of time, one of the best shows, man, that there was a guest co-host that was with you was one with Representative Bruce Anton.
Yes, sir.
And I love the dynamics that went on with that show. I love the voter information and education that went on, but I love the realness that took place with that show, brother.
Yeah, listen, man. Representative Anton, he always does a great job. He's just a good person to talk to, but he is also knowledgeable. And if you all don't remember, he's also very entertaining.
You're right. He gave it a shot with no chaser.
Yes, he did.
Hey, Brother
yes,
Jackson, man, I appreciate it. And until next Monday, brother, you do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Until next Monday at 7 p.m., join us for Let's Talk Nation. The General and myself, we'll see you next week.